Welcome to I Change the Narrative, a podcast for and about Black men, inspiring, supporting, and empowering Black men and Black boys. Today's topic is building an empire and building a legacy. With today's guests, we have one of the co-creators, founders, and VP who propelled FUBU into a fusion of music, urban lifestyle, and a cultural expression company. iChangeTheNarrative would like to welcome J. Alexander Martin. So glad to have you on the show, and we thank you for being invested in the cause.
Hey, glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get started, and we want to get started with first discussing Building an Empire, your book, Building an Empire. Why did you decide to write this book?
Well, FUBU, I guess when you look in the dictionary, I guess years from now, or even maybe now, we're the quintessential Black-owned business, entrepreneur, started from scratch, started from, meager means, and built an empire. And a lot of people, always ask me and ask my partners, of course, Dave and John of Shark Tank, Keith and Carl and I, how'd you do it? But it's not about how you do it. It's about the mental state of mind you have to do it. I can write it all down in the book, but then you can take those what I've said or take, what I've preached, but that's not necessarily that you're going to be able to do it without having the mindset. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, everyone looks at the shiny object, but nobody looks at how that, excuse my French, shit got shiny. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kind of teach, the mindset in this book of what you need to be, what you need to be an entrepreneur.
Thank you. For the 20-somethings and younger, because the 30s, the 40s, the 50s on up, we know about your company. Tell the younger audience what FUBU is, what it's about, etc.
Our old adage was, FUBU's a lifestyle, FUBU's a lifestyle, FUBU's a lifestyle. And, nowadays to the millennials, FUBU is for us by us, and for us by us is honestly not even us anymore. It's everyone. It's taken on a whole new meaning. And each year it kind of changes in dimension. FUBU started in 1992 along with my partner, Damon John. I guess, again, on Shark Tank, people know that because that's kind of today per se. But he was making some hats and I came along. I was in Desert Storm. I was in the military. I got out on medical discharge. Actually, I'm 50% disabled from the U.S. Navy. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be in fashion. I went to FIT. I saw him when I came home and I was like, hey, what you doing? He's making a hat. And I said, hey, listen, let me help you take that and turn it into a clothing line. And of course, he looked at me like I had 4 heads and 6 arms. Like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, well, I could do it. I had five. Well, I had $6,000 from an accident, and I gave him $5,000 of it. Mm-hmm. And the rest is history. We've been in textbooks, we in museums, the Great Black Wax Museum. We have figures of us. We are in the Museum of Black Natural History in DC. We're also in a museum in Europe. I can't remember. I can't say the name if I tried. Right. And so we have a lot of history. And it's funny when someone asks that question, we'll tell them about it as if, and I'm like, well, if you don't know about it, you've kind of been under a rock, or you don't want to know about it. Mm-hmm. And, we're the quintessential, I guess, Black Lives Matter, started with us, when you really want to think about it, for us, by us. A lot of people from that wanted to say, it was kind of the hidden gem or the hidden thing of what, the meaning behind it was. And people are like, I'm wearing it, but, I know what it really means. It's like a secret. Today, it's out in the open. And actually, we had years of it not really is being out in the open, and people was like, "Look, I'm not wearing that. I don't want to wear that." So we had our dormant times and we had our great times, and it all culminated to 6 billion in sales to date.
Wow, that's amazing. As you were building FUBU, did you have any idea at the time that you were setting out to build, that you were building wealth?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, my other partners would say no. They'd say always say we didn't know, we didn't know, we didn't this, we didn't that, and we would if we could just be in business for 2 days or be in business for whatever. That's what they were that's just what they thought, and I always think differently because this is what I really wanted to do.
Okay.
So I knew that I had the vision to get this going and make it happen. So yes, I know what I was doing. It was just a matter of sustaining it. And I think that a lot of people today, with the mass, what's the word I'm looking for? Mass, how do you say, technology, or not even just technology, social media, things like that. It's kind of changed the narrative or changed people's thought pattern of, look, instantly, today. I start today, and if I who cares about being tomorrow? Because tomorrow's life cycle is short, or tomorrow our mind is short now, because all we look at something today and go, okay, fine, great, next, what's next? Or who's popping? Right. But it's not about who's popping. Like, think about it. I started in 1992. What year is it now?
20.
And I'm still in business.
Yes. So talk about, I know you discussed this in your book, sustaining. How does one sustain this business, this empire? What are some of your strategies for sustaining FUBU?
Well, what I do is there's certain things that I live by, certain codes, or certain things that I do that may be quirky. And I guess again, I put those things in the book because, again, maybe it's not quirky, maybe it's not crazy, maybe it's not different, maybe it's just what you're not thinking.
Right.
And I try to get people to kind of understand that that's not about. It's about thinking different. It's about just thinking, about opening, getting out of your bubble. I say it like this: if you think about vision, that's what things about. It's not about goal. If you have a goal, and I guess people could see me because we're live per se.
Right.
If you have a goal, right, you look at a goal like this, tunnel vision. Now, that's all I'm looking at, because all I want to see is all I want to do. It's all I got to do, right? I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. And you're sitting there really, really, really concentrating on that one goal. But the problem is, by you doing that, you don't see anything else. You don't see any other options. You're closed-minded. You're stuck in your own bubble. You're in your own way. So what I do is I don't do that. I keep myself wide open for anything and everything that could come to me. And for instance, even like, as something as simple as with social media, a lot of people, what they do is they follow. I don't follow. I don't have mentors. I don't like mentors. I don't do that. And now if I'm talking to someone and we're talking back and forth, and you getting ideas from me, I'm getting ideas from you, I don't call it a mentor, that's my strategic partner. Wow. That way we back and forth and we're working together, and that way it's a win-win. Because if I look at someone as a mentor, now I'm waiting for them to do something, and I'm waiting for them to show me where I need to go. But the problem is with that is that if you look at someone else's blessing or somebody else's situation, then it's intervening, it's changing your situation, because everyone has their own blessing. Everybody's built a certain way. Everybody's direction, everybody can go in different directions. But if you go in the same direction everybody else, you have to wait till they're finished, or wait till they, how do you say, you have to wait till they move on to the next situation for you to go, okay, now that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, now I'm doing that. So think about it like this. If I'm driving in a car, right, and we're on the highway, and again, it's always about drive, right?
Right.
It's drive is it. And you're driving in a highway and you see traffic, right? So now, even before you see traffic coming up, you see ice. right? So now you see ice. What do? You don't rev on the gas. You kind of slow down and you glide and you whatever, right? Right. That's the rocky road. You kind of always gotta feel the road out, feel out what's going on first, right? And then you gotta get you see traffic up the way. So what do? 99.9% of the time, what people do is go right into the traffic and just sit there and wait for everybody.
Right.
Right? No, I don't do that. I look for the exit and I get off.
Right.
And I go around the traffic. Because if not, I got to sit and wait for everybody to finish, everybody get to the right. So if I'm looking at somebody else's designs, or I'm looking at somebody else, other company to model my company around, I got to wait for them again. Like I said, I got to wait for them to make another move before I make another move, because this is their vision. It's not my vision.
Right.
Well, if I go down my own lane, again, I'm going to say that again, go down your own lane. So no one can tell you anything wrong. If you get up and you have a speech and you say everything about you, nobody can tell you what you said is wrong, because that's you.
Right.
So it's my vision, it's what I'm thinking, it's what I'm doing, and it's my design, my life, my everything, and God has me going that path, and that's my path, and that's that. Right. I may look and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What you doing?" But I'm not looking at what you're doing. I may see what you do, but I'm not looking.
Right.
You know what I mean? You follow where I'm going?
Yes.
I'm looking. I may see it, but I'm like, okay, that's great. But it's not going to direct me where I need to go. Now, again, there's other situations that I do. Like, for instance, I'll use my Tiffany cup. Right? So, marketing 101. Tiffany has been using that color since the dawn of time.
Yes.
If you see that color, you're instantly going to think of Tiffany. If you see Coca-Cola, you see the red, you're instantly going to think of red. So what do? I use those colors. So for some reason, you're looking and you're like, why do I like that so much? I like it because it's been ingrained in your psyche.
Right.
Colors, is color theory, and there's a lot of other things that get in it. I study books like biology. There's a book called Biology. I forget by who's from, but why people buy. I get into the psyche of the actual customer. I don't just sit back and just go, "Oh, I made this, and everyone's gonna love it." No, that's not necessarily true.
Right.
I understand you. So with social media, I'll sit there and all day and look in social media. I'll follow this woman. I'll follow that guy that's a, quote unquote influencer, or just not even influencer, a guy that just likes to go out a lot. Right. I'll follow that pretty girl, right? Not to follow her, to look at her and to see what see her. No, but to see where she's going, what she's doing. Because if I look at social media and IG, that's like a magazine. Everybody has their own magazine now. See, people are looking at it differently. They're looking at it wrong. Social. If you look at LinkedIn is what? It's like corporate. It's like the business. It's like the boardroom, right? And that's where you talk to your CEOs and your vice presidents and the like, and the head of sales. Not IG. You got it backwards. IG is nothing but a place where you advertise, and you somewhat brand, right, and market yourself.
Right.
You put up pictures. What's a magazine? Nothing but pictures and text.
Yes.
Right. And now with the likes of Clubhouse, then that's a whole nother thing. That's just a big forum for you to get feedback on your business or whatever you're actually talking about. And then last but not least, Twitter. Twitter is not last but not least. I'm sorry, Twitter didn't have Facebook. Twitter is just just captions and words, just to kind of feel out and write around and words, finding out what's going on with your product or you or whatever, what's going on. And then Facebook is a glorified email address.
Right. You're right.
So if you think about that, and I think a lot of things times two is that people today and yesteryear, well, even not yesteryear, but people today mostly, they don't understand that branding, right? They group branding into everything.
Everything.
Like it's branding, it's advertising, and it's marketing. And I tell people, know the difference between the three. So with that mindset and those things and my values, you can't cheat work. It knows who's working. So I work my butt off. If I go to a club, I'm standing in the back and I'm just looking around being nosy. It's funny, in certain clubs in New York and other places I go, if it's a certain DJs, they know me. And it's like, they'll say sneakyman.com is in the building. They won't say my name.
Okay.
Right? Or sometimes they'll say my name, but then later on they'll say sneakyman.com is in the building.
Right.
Why? I'm in the corner, always there by myself, looking and absorbing and feeling, because you have to feel clothing. You have to feel the idea of what you're making. You don't feel it. It's you have to, you know what I'm saying? Color invokes a certain feeling. What you do has to invoke a certain feeling. When you create a product, it has to invoke a certain feeling or solve a problem or something. And that problem is a feeling.
Right.
Ultimately, you have to get to someone to go, oh, I like this. Oh, I want this. Oh, I need this. And if you have clothing, you need clothing, but why do they need your clothing?
Wow, you just said so much, but you caught my ear when you talked about mentors. Say that again, why you don't. Did I hear you right? You don't have a mentor?
No, I don't have mentors.
Explain that, because recently I've been having these conversations with myself, thinking that something was wrong with me. I don't have a mentor. Everybody else has a mentor, but I don't have it. And I feel some kind of way. But hearing you say that, explain it.
Yeah, it's a thing where, because again, we started FUBU and we had no blueprint. We created the blueprint. So if you create the blueprint, you're never wrong, because that's the way you're going about it. Now, when you deal with someone else and you say, hey, well, can you tell me how to do this? They're telling you based off of, yes, their knowledge. Yes, they're telling you based off what they had to do at their time. But that's not your time.
Right.
So what I say is, if I'm talking to someone else and we're talking about the same thing, it's not about you being a mentor. It's about being a strategic partner. Because now I'm on your level, you're on my level. I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, and you're doing it the way you're doing it, and we're just talking about it. Because I'm not going to have you influence me. Because think about this, and I'm going to get too spiritual, but think about devil, God and the devil. You sit there and you're saying, and again, like I said, I don't want to get too spiritual, but if you think about it, you have your God on one shoulder, you have your devil on another shoulder, and you're like, is this what God wants me to do? And you're like, oh no, that's definitely what God wants you to do.
Right.
So you're going back and forth with a battle. Instead of you saying, hey, listen, I know what's available. I know what I want to do. And you just do it. But now you're waiting for this guy or this woman to tell you what to do and to lead you. But now they're leading you down their path. You're being led by your own path.
Right.
Because think about, there's another way to say it. A lot of times, someone will tell you, no, you shouldn't do it. Right. Now, again, that goes back to me when someone comes up to me and says, well, how about a business? Well, how'd you start your business? Or how can I start a business? You start.
Right.
And then look at me like I got 4 heads and go, yo, duh, yeah, you're right. Start.
So it's nothing deep to it.
It's nothing deep. It's not that deep. Now, what do you want to start? Okay. I want to start a clothing business. Okay. No problem. What do you do? This is your first job. Your first job is to do A. Go out and tell everybody you want to do it. Write it all down. Every time somebody tells you no, don't do it, give you a reason why it's not going to work, give you all that, right? Take that. Take it all in. Write it down on a piece of paper.
Right.
Give an answer on how you're gonna make it work.
That's good.
Then the second part of it is to start. Then you start. So now you've gotten all that done. Now you're starting. So now you got to do research, right? It's so funny. I talk to people and it's so simple stuff. I say, well, you don't know about you. You only know what you looked at on the internet because nobody wants to go into school anymore,
Right.
right? At all they want to do is go on the internet and think they got it.
Right.
But again, it goes back to the old adage. It's about if I give you the answer to the test, you think you got the answer, right? You
Right.
you got scored 100. I gave you all the answers,
Right.
but you don't know how you got to that answer.
Mm-hmm.
So what YouTube does, it doesn't do that. What it does is give you the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But so if something pops up, a situation pops up that is similar to that particular question, you won't know what to do. So now you're going to try to go back to YouTube again?
Mm.
No, you're not going to be able to have that answer because so many things come at you when it comes to business.
Right.
Right. So you need school, and school is not necessarily just because what they're teaching. Because sometimes they're not actually teaching; they're teaching you theory, so you can think about situation. That's where it got lost in school.
Right.
That's what what school was. People think now, well, school's to teach me. School, yes, is part of it to teach you, but part of it is to teach you. So when scenarios pop up, you have the aptitude to be able to work that problem. And
Right.
let that problem work you.
Mm. Wow. So why is it important?
Did you drop mic?
Yes. Why is it important to build wealth as a Black man and leader?
Why is it important to build wealth as a Black man and a leader?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to answer that question with a statement that is relative, but not answering the question.
Okay.
I'm going to give you, this is a recall, I call it.
Okay.
I was in, I think I was Indiana, and it was an actor, old actor, and I walked up to him. Hey, I like your work. Oh my God, you're the guy from FUBU, and we talked back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So we started talking about wealth, things like that, similar to the question you asked me, right? So talking about things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me, he says this, he says, was segregation good for us or bad for us? But let me tell you actually how he said it. Was segregation good for us or bad for us?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, like, I'm listening to him, right? And I'm like, huh? Why is he asking me this question? But then I also listen to him like, you really talk like that? Because that's how he talks when he's acting, right?
Right.
I'm like, damn, he really talks like that. Okay. Excuse me. Hold on. So I'm like, so I'm about to answer. He said, think about it first. So I say, was segregation good for us or bad for us? And I said it was good.
Mm.
And he said, you're right. He said, do you understand why you're right? And I said, no, because I guessed.
Okay.
He began to explain, if we stayed segregated, we would have kept our own, just like a lot of other nationalities keep their own. And there's nothing ever wrong with them assimilating and doing what they want to do, from the Jewish community down from Asian, Hispanic. Nothing wrong with them. But as soon as a Black man does it, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's how I answer that question.
Okay. Okay. So for the sake of Black creativepreneurs and Black content creators, Black businessmen and women, walk us through the story of what it took to grow FUBU. Like, what was the navigation like? We see how it turned out positive, but we don't hear about the negative, the things that you as a team went through to build this empire. Talk about that.
And again, this is not going to be the typical answer.
Okay.
Because I can't tell you anything that went wrong because everything went right.
So no mistakes, no blunders in the midst of.
No, I can't tell you something that wasn't, I can't compute
Mm-hmm.
as a computer would say,
Okay.
right? I can't compute because think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Think about anything. Think about you walking down the block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you trip, and everybody's laughing at you, but you trip and you look down and you pick up a winning lottery ticket
Mm-hmm.
and you put it in your pocket. Put it with a lottery ticket. You put it in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Now your leg is hurting. You're embarrassed,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're walking down the block, right? You
Right.
get home, you turn on the news, right? You got ice on your knee, and now you pull out that ticket, and that's the winning ticket,
Mm-hmm.
and you just won $100 gazillion.
Right.
That had to happen for you to A.
I get it.
So it never was a problem because it was a learning experience. So it can guide you, and and back to the drive and back to the car analogy and all that, right? You slid because you had to slide to the bank to get around the traffic.
Right.
So it has to happen. A has to happen for you to learn for B, or it may not capitalize off it today, but you'll capitalize tomorrow. Think about when you as a youth,
Mm-hmm.
all the things your mother and the father said to you. You like, yeah. I went in the military, right? I was pretty much, ultimatum. You either go or you go. you know,
Right.
I'm like, what? But what did it do? It set me up. I got out of the military on medical discharge. I thought I was going to be in the military forever,
Mm-hmm.
but it set me up.
Right.
Look at it as a setup, but you may not, and it may set up today, may set up tomorrow, may set up years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, you're where you are.
How did it set you up for what you're doing now?
What, the military?
Yes.
Well, because I went in the military, I got out of the military, right, on a medical discharge. We
Right.
got in the middle of medical discharge, I happened to receive money. I happened to get out of medical discharge at the right time when forest bias made sense.
Okay.
FUBU made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing about business is drive and timing.
Mm.
Right time. So I got out at the right time. I served all the things that I served, I was in Desert Storm as a shield. So all those things I was able to utilize. All those, there's a thing they called, there's a phrase they use called paying attention to detail.
Right.
Now, I'm in my business, I'm the one that people go to and they say, oh, if Jay likes it, shit, it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they say that? Because I am meticulous. Because I learned in the military, if you don't pay attention to detail, if you don't do something right the first time, people die.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, oh, they only got injured. Oh, okay, they only got injured. It's okay. No, people get hurt or ultimately die.
Right.
So you live by that. So you try to be perfect every time.
Right. Okay. So you talked about some strategies or mindsets that you adopted. What are some other mindsets you adopted to help grow FUBU from a street corner business to an international corporation?
I think, if I start thinking about it, like, I get these questions, but it's really hard because I'm the type of guy that kind of gives credit to the others versus giving credit to myself.
Okay.
So I would give credit to my partners
Mhm.
more so than I would give credit to myself.
Mhm.
And in that, and it was the fact that they would challenge me challenge me, and then we'd all challenge each other.
Mhm.
I was known as the guy that every time I hit a home run,
Mhm.
when we needed it.
Right.
Sometimes you may strike, but when the game's on the line, I'm hitting a home run, guaranteed.
Mhm.
But I think even when you say that, you always have to think about the fact that no matter what, if I hit a home run, we didn't win because somebody else hit a base hit.
Right.
So I think what really made us was the fact that we were able to understand that. We were able to to let that person lead, and then they would sit back and they would follow and wait. Like we would all take on our positions and meticulously do them,
Hmm.
but we wouldn't disrespect each other by saying, "Oh, well, I did more than you, and you did more than me."
That's good.
And that happens when you have a partnerships.
Right.
People start getting their ego and everything, and it just blows everything up. And
Right.
I think that was one of the main things that helped us in growth and stability.
Got it. Excellent.
And then too, like I said, even with me, I was like I said, I was the one that I was the fashion end of it. So again, I have to also get out of my feelings,
Hmm.
because if I present something and nobody likes it, you know, I have to tell them why they need to like it, because I've done the research
Okay.
to back it up,
Hmm.
and to tell them that you may not be seeing this today, but remember, we're talking about 6 months to 8 months out. We're not talking about today, and
Right.
this is what's going to be hot. So
Right.
that again, I always had to be nosy and see what's going on and be out and be aware and be in the cusp of what's going on, so I could find the trend, create the trend. You know, it can trickle up, it can trickle down, and
Right.
not be outside of and then not be outside of myself, and then actually take in information and be willing to take in information. I think I know it all as well, and
Right.
that's another thing that you have to have as a business person.
Excellent. Have you studied or paid attention to the branding and storytelling of millennials and merged some of those practices into the expansion of FUBU now?
Oh yes, 100%, because everything is direct to consumer now. Everything is on the internet. Right now, if I'm sitting there having a conversation with a quote unquote millennial, they'll
Mhm.
say, the first thing they'll say is, "Look at my Instagram," and I'm
Mm.
like, "Why?" In my head, but I
Right.
had to kind of understand that's where they're coming from. That's all they know. So then now I'm like, I kind of just because again, when I first started, we didn't have an internet. We
Right.
barely had a computer. You
Right.
know, I was doing designs and coloring with markers. And like I don't know, I'm probably got brain damage from the markers and the fumes of the different colors I needed to use. So you know they're coming from an easier world. I
Mhm.
think what really confuses me is that they have everything at their disposal, but
Mhm.
still don't know what to do.
Right.
No
Okay.
disrespect, no shade, no cap on that, but I'm just saying.
Right. So let's talk about where FUBU is now. You've expanded beyond FUBU, just being a fashion brand. How do you remain relevant? What are you doing now? Because I looked at your projects, but I want our listeners to know, because you have a lot going on now as far as the expansion of FUBU. So tell us all about that.
Well, okay. Well, okay. How much more time do we have?
We have
Um,
about 9 more minutes.
okay, I think I could take it. I might be able to take up all nine.
Okay.
Um, okay, so one. Okay, so FUBU has relaunched, of course, the direct to consumer, our e-commerce site FUBU.com,
Mhm.
and new capsules out now. We have licensees, and it's basically turned into a licensing company.
Mhm.
So we have licenses for men's,
Mhm.
kids, young miss, young kids, toddlers. We also have licenses for our
Mhm.
watches, eyewear. I'm not actually wearing it right now.
Okay.
Um, we have bags. We have suits. We have custom suits. We have what else? Oh, for our phones. So we have FUBU phones,
Mhm.
or actually phone stores and
Okay.
company. You can get the actual phone service.
Okay.
We have 4 stores. It closed down in New York. We had 6 total, but
Okay.
the 2 closed down in New York because of the COVID.
Right.
But the ones in Dallas, the Dallas area, Houston area, are still open. We have our individual licenses, which I have forestbias.com,
Mhm.
which is a television network.
Mhm.
It is. Verizon, Vios, VOD. I have a deal with Verizon deal, VOD, and I have a deal with Comcast. Of course, Roku. What else? Roku. Like forestbuyers.com, digital, and we're building an OTT platform as we speak.
Mhm.
We have our first reality show that we have out is Sabrina Parr and gosh, messed his name up. Darn it. Go to it. We have some of these shows I'm totally messing up.
I,
Okay.
I think I've read where you have a cooking show as well. Not you.
We also have a cooking show, yes, with a basketball player,
Yeah.
Charles Oakley.
Yes.
And he's cooking, and everybody knows he cooks. And we
Right.
have, I mean, the list of who he's cooking for is ridiculous.
Okay.
As we have quite a few more shows that we have, and also all in-house production.
Okay.
My partner Keith, he has FUBU Radio. He has a number of talk shows that's on there. My other partner Carl Brown, he has FUBU Hotels. So we have, as soon as the pandemic is over, we have 3 hotels that we're looking to open.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my partner again is Shark Tank, so he has a number of different things. We're also looking into doing timeshares, not timeshares. What do you call it? It's not called timeshare. It's called flight share or whatever. With for jets, jet fractional ownership. We're looking into that, and then we're also looking into cryptocurrency. Doing a forest by us FUBU cryptocurrency.
Right.
What else? I think I'm missing some stuff, but that's enough for now.
Wow, that's a lot. So with the TV productions that you're involved in, are you accepting new projects? Are you always looking?
I'm always, yes, definitely always accepting new projects to look at. I just tell everyone real quick, your listeners, we're looking for finished content, no scripts, no ideas, no mama said I should be a star, none of that.
Right.
Finished product. We're doing our business model is SVOD, and that's how we're paying out.
Okay.
No money up front, just SVOD, and with profit sharing.
Okay. And what is
based off of views of a CPM.
okay. Okay. So can you tell listeners how they can get in touch with you, how they can send their content to you, since you are always looking for, different ideas and different projects?
Okay. Well, my general email for myself is the letter J, Alexander Martin, MARTIN.com. And you can go there and you can click on to my social media and send me a DM. And you can also send me an email from that as well.
Okay.
And then forestbuyers.com, you go to forestbuyers.com, and then you can also send email in that respect to us. Or you can go to another email isjalexander at forestbuyers.com for content.
It has been such a pleasure to speak with you, and I'm learning myself. I'm going to listen to this again because you have given a lot of nuggets, and that's what I appreciate. So I thank you for taking the time out to speak with me and to speak with our listeners about FUBU, about your book. How can listeners purchase your book?
Again, you can go to Amazon or you can go to my website and click and purchase it. And again, I have 2 books, so if you happen to like that, you can also get my other book, Money Makes Me Crazy, and that's the here we go. That's that word up. It's basically talking about my history of money and talking about the relationship you need to have with money and knowing who you are. I'm what they call a spender. So I have to do certain things in order for me to keep my money. And that actually goes back to the title of, what we're talking about today, and building Black wealth. And a lot of people need to read that book as well.
Okay. Wow. Give us one nugget from your other book about being a spender. One nugget. before we go?
The other, let me think. A nugget would be your relationship. You need to understand your relationship with money, and that's basically it. And that's basically the title. You need to understand your relationship with money.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you again. That is our time. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for allowing me to showcase your story, for doing your part and change the narrative. And lastly, keeping your commitment by being a part of the show. That means an awful lot to me. If you've enjoyed the show, please let us know. We would love to shout you out and post your comments. If you or someone you know is changing the narrative, please contact us at iChangeTheNarrative.com. We would love to share your story. Meet us here next Saturday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for listening.
Wait, what?